Like, it's fun, but it's also wildly dystopian. This is We Have Concerns. Hi, Jeff Cannata.
Hi, Anthony Carboni.
Hello, concerned citizens.
Anthony, I want to talk about something we haven't talked about enough, and that is Waterloo.
The song or the battle?
The battle.
Okay.
Although, if we want to sidetrack into the song, I'm open to it.
Waterloo. I love ABBA.
Yeah. Oh, who doesn't?
Dude, I
Only
love
a
ABBA
monster
so
wouldn't love
much.
ABBA.
I think there are people that don't love ABBA.
I do think that there are those people, but there are monster people.
Yeah, I think they're joyless.
Yes, exactly.
Waterloo, I was defeated, you won the war.
Waterloo. Yeah.
It's got everything.
So good.
It's got a little sax line in the middle of it. It's great. Why are we talking about the battle when the song exists? You know what I mean?
I mean, fair point. Somebody sent us a science story about the song Waterloo, or about ABBA in general. We'll do it.
Yeah. Somebody sent us an article about how they make the ABBA holograms at the ABBA Museum, and we'll cover it. Do you know they have ABBA holograms at the ABBA Museum?
No, but that sounds amazing.
Yeah, if you go to the ABBA Museum, there are ABBA holograms that perform for you.
This is the first time I'm even hearing about the ABBA Museum.
Dude, of course there's an ABBA Museum.
All right.
Of course there is. It's in Sweden. You got to go.
Okay.
I mean, we both have to. I'm saying it like I've been. I haven't been.
Yeah, it sounded like you've been.
No, you got to, we got to go.
Let's go.
Let's go to the ABBA Museum. Listen, we can write that off, right?
Yeah.
It's
now we
season.
can. We've talked about it for 15 minutes on the show.
Yeah, it's tax season. We can write off a trip to Sweden, and then you get all the money back. That's how taxes work, right?
That's how write-offs work, is they just give it all back to you.
They just give it back to you.
It's
like
free money.
It's like you never spent any money. It's like that guy in the guy in the Riddler jacket used to tell you on TV. Right. Matthew Lesko. He used to be like, it's free money.
Yeah. And you always trust a man in a Riddler jacket. That's what I've learned from watching Batman for my entire life. Yeah. Anyway, the Battle of Waterloo in 1815.
Boring.
Yeah. If you've watched Ridley Scott's 3-hour epic Napoleon,
and I have not,
you probably fell asleep. But in that movie,
he didn't put a single alien in that.
I know. What's up with that?
He barely puts aliens into alien movies anymore.
Well, you got another one coming out this summer.
That's not him, though.
Well, he produced it, I think.
Yeah, sure. Because they were like, hey, man, we're going to take this away from you because you're not putting aliens in the alien movies.
Also, he's like 92. Yeah. I don't know how old he is. Very old.
Did you watch Napoleon?
Unfortunately, it's not good. I didn't like it.
Yeah?
I found it to be overlong and pretty darn boring.
It looked like it.
Yeah.
Also, I'm not a Joaquin Phoenix guy.
I can be. He's brilliant at times. He's a brilliant actor in a lot of ways. Very interesting choices, but not the right choice for Napoleon. He played it like Joaquin Phoenix in 2024. He's just a guy. And I feel like Napoleon, not exactly that. Anyway,
this story is about the making of Ridley Scott's Napoleon.
This was a story sent to us by our old friend Cahoots, Jeffrey Engelstein, who pointed us to this story on science.org about a book that was just written about a mystery. A mystery. I love mysteries. I love mysteries, Anthony.
Ooh. Is this like a Da Vinci Code thing?
Kind of.
Yeah? I love that.
Yeah. We'll get to the Da Vinci Code part of it. Because there's catacombs later in this story. Just hold your horses. Hold your horses like Napoleon would. Hold, and then they fire the cannons. I saw that in the Ridley Scott version.
Yeah, that's how Ridley Scott is really into the part where they hold the cannons.
Yeah. Anyway, so here's the mystery. About 10,000 troops and just as many horses died in a single day at the Battle of Waterloo. It was one of the bloodiest, casualty-filled exchanges in modern war history. 10,000 people died in one day.
I've never listened to the lyrics of Waterloo, but I assume that I learned that in the lyrics of the ABBA song Waterloo. I know
it's
that
weird,
they do definitely say, "I was defeated, you won the war." So I know that.
Yeah. It's the bridge. You have to listen for the bridge because the bridge goes, 10,000 people died in a single day. It's good.
Their blood was all over the streets. Yeah. It's good.
It's a lot peppier than if you really listen to it.
Yeah, you got to see the holograms do it. We're not doing it justice.
It's true. It's true. Here's the thing, though. Modern excavators, modern archaeologists have scoured the site of Waterloo looking for human remains. 10,000 men and as many horses, so 20,000 corpses should be available there at that site. You know how many human remains they have found at the site of Waterloo?
How many?
2.
Now,
2.
Here's what I'm going to tell you. They're looking a little late.
Yeah.
Like I think,
not wrong.
I think probably all those dead people are probably like either decomposed or moved or something by now.
Well, obviously
where's Waterloo?
That's the case.
What's the geography of Waterloo? Is Waterloo what kind of a geographical feature is Waterloo? Is Waterloo a city? Is it a town?
Field.
Is it a field?
Well, it's a bit. I mean, in 1815, it was a big ass field.
Okay.
Where a bunch of troops smashed into each other.
All right.
I think there's towns around there now. I haven't been. I don't have the information in front of me. People can correct me. I'm sure there's we have French listeners.
We'll add it to the European tour. I'm making a note of it.
Oh, cool. So ABBA Museum.
Yeah.
Bloodiest battle in European history.
Yeah. This is it's really, I like to think of it as an ABBA tour of Europe.
Yeah.
We're only going to places that were mentioned in ABBA songs. So we're going to Waterloo. We're going to your mom's house.
We're gonna we're gonna knock on the door and ask the Queen to dance.
That's right.
Knock on the door.
We're gonna go visit the old Tsar's palace where Rasputin was.
This is good. This is good.
Yeah, this is actually a great trip. If I'm honest,
you know, it started as a joke, but now I'm super into it.
Do you think that they have a monument to Bartok the Bat?
They must.
They must. He's a very important figure in Russian history, right?
That's right. Like based on my knowledge of Russian history, I would say yes.
Yeah, they probably got like a big like Bartok the Bat.
Sure.
Because at the end he came around, you know?
He did come around. He learned his lesson.
That's right.
Yeah.
So they're in this field. 10,000. They found 2. Yeah. 10,000 people died.
That sounds like, but even accounting for, farming, which
sure
on a big field, there's farming in subsequent, centuries. But
what about people eating the horse? What was the economic status there? Like, are people like maybe burying these people, eating these horses?
Well, even if you were eating the meat of the horse, you'd find remains, you'd find bones,
Would you?
Bones.
After this long, they wouldn't be pulped?
Up to this point, most people thought that plowing and construction were the reason we're not seeing any historical remains. But that doesn't really square the circle here, because you'd still get that amount of casualties, that amount of remains. We've found from the Middle Ages, we found from way farther back than 1815. And we found mass grave sites, mass battle sites. We've uncovered, archaeologists have uncovered huge amounts of remains much older than this that have been built upon, that have been in sites that have been cultivated and plowed. So it doesn't really make any sense.
Do we think that Napoleon was so embarrassed by his loss that he put all of the bodies in bathtubs full of acid?
Yeah.
Breaking Bad style.
Breaking Bad style. Sure.
To make like there's no proof of his loss. And then they were like, Napoleon, we know that you lost, dude.
It turns out that Napoleon was the first one who knocks. Yeah.
He knocks once though, and then he goes, hold. And then he knocks the second time.
And then the cannons fire.
Yeah.
And then no, there's a new book that was released by an international consortium of archaeologists and researchers.
Okay, Illuminati.
Historians. Yeah.
All right, so secret cabal. Okay.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
All right.
Not one author. Literally on the Amazon page.
No, they're nameless ones.
It's just lists the editors. Yeah, it's the nameless, and then it has just an eye.
Mm-hmm.
A picture of an eye. It's weird. I've never seen Amazon have a listing of the author and then it's just a picture of an eye. You know?
Yeah, that's a power move right there.
It is.
It might be a bit too much of a power move because like it's pretty obvious what's going on.
And so this book claims to solve the mystery of where the bones went. And I gotta say, Anthony, not an insignificant percentage of why I wanted to do this story is the name of this book, which I got to give it up for the International Consortium of Historians and Archaeologists because they named their book Bones of Contention.
Wow.
Solid. That's solid.
Wow.
Bones of Contention.
What garbage. Wow. Just a bunch of dads. More like the secret board of dads.
I mean, probably. I hope there's some moms in there too. I'm sure there are.
Sure.
So here's
but nobody on the secret board is childless. They won't let you on.
You can't.
You cannot be childless and part of the secret historians that run the world.
The Secret Historian Society started as a way for people to just get away from their kids.
Yeah.
I need an activity of some kind.
And honestly, they're just like, hey, you know how history works, right? You have to breed.
That's right.
Otherwise, there isn't any.
That's right. We need more history.
That's right.
So as to ensure my job continues. So here's their theory, which is backed up by some pretty solid science. And that is grave robbers. In short, grave robbers. But grave robbers with a purpose.
They want to eat that horse. That's why. Because
you're not wrong. You're not too far off.
That's what I'm saying, dude. You take the wallets and you take the weapons and the good coats because the military always has good coats, right?
Sure.
And so you take their good coats and their fun hats, but you also carve yourself a little piece of that horse.
Get a little horse meat.
Get a little of that horse meat, bud.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it does have to do with food, but that food, Anthony, is sugar. Sugar is the reason there are no bodies at Waterloo.
Does it work like acid?
I mean, have you ever put a tooth into a can of Coke?
Yeah. Yeah, for science fair. Yeah. I put a nail.
The answer is yes. It does work like acid.
You put a nail in there, it's gone in like 4 days, dude.
That's right. No. Here's a little tidbit about refining sugar, the process of refining sugar that I didn't know about. It turns out that the process of turning sugar white, the whitening of sugar, you know how you see granulated sugar, delicious, lovely white sugar?
Yeah.
And how it's so pearly white and beautiful?
Yeah, but that's not what, but then you can also, right next to it, if you're so inclined, open up the packet of sugar in the raw. And then you see the yellowing crystals, right? The larger yellow crystals of sugar.
Most brown sugar, by the way, most of that brown sugar that you'll get that's supposed to be, more closely
it's in the raw, Jeff. Natural. It says it right there.
Well, most of the brown sugar you get is actually white sugar that they put molasses into to brown it. Anywho.
Delicious molasses.
Yeah. Yeah. But so, yeah, you're right. It doesn't start white. It's refined to become white. And the way they do that, Anthony, is by putting sugar through a filter made of what they call natural carbon. Natural carbon is a euphemism for bones.
Horse flesh.
Bones.
Oh, okay.
It's bone char.
Yeah.
Bones.
Okay. Yeah.
Sugar is processed through bones. And the contention here is that
you burn, you're saying bone char. So you burn the bones down into like an ash, into like a
fine grain.
Like you basically, you cremate the people and horses.
Yep.
And then you run the sugar
700 degrees. 700 degrees.
Okay. Yep. Then you run like what? The sugar and water through like a Brita filter made of people and horses.
That's right.
I love this. Why is it my
nowadays
Brita
it's done with cows?
Yeah.
But Yes.
Really, it's still done with living things?
Oh, yes.
It's still done with cow bones?
Yes.
We don't have a better way to do that?
We do have a better way to do it. And you can buy sugar that's done in, if you buy like organic sugar, they'll call it organic sugar or vegan sugar.
Yeah.
It will be done without the use of cow bones, but it's way more expensive and it's much less common.
What are they? I mean, if you're just putting it through a filter like that, couldn't you put it through like any sort of charcoal filter or something like that? You have to use cow bones?
They do. So you want to know the statistics on how it's done today?
Yeah, I'd love to hear.
So the average natural carbon filter system uses 7,800 cow skeletons, like 7,800 cows.
Yeah.
Are turned into the filter. The average sugar refinery has multiple of these filter systems, these bone char systems, and they have to be replaced every 5 years.
Okay.
So we're talking a level of cow bones that is pretty intense.
Yeah, I want to know the exact cow to sugar ratio now. Like, that's sort of what I want to know because, okay, we're talking about what you said, 7,800 cows?
Yeah.
7,
so almost 8,000 cows per filter system. And they have multiple filter systems in a refinery and they have to be replaced every 5 years. So you get a lot of use out of your 8,000 cow carcasses.
Yeah.
You know?
What's the average output of sugar from a sugar refinery? That's the missing variable.
Yeah, I don't have that data.
That's the missing variable because I want to know.
I'm sure it's a lot. I'm sure it's a ton. I mean, a massive amount.
How many cow to delicious chocolate bar?
That's the question. How many cow bones went into the eating of this chocolate bar? Now, I want to say for people that are already getting squeamish about this.
Yeah.
No,
too late. There's no turning back.
That's true.
We've removed the pause button on your podcast player.
Sorry. There is no trace of bone in the resulting sugar, right? It is
sure. There's no charcoal in my water. I get it. It's a filter.
Yes. It's a filter.
Yeah.
So don't think that you're actually eating the bone, but your sugar went through bones to become the white sugar that you like.
That's metal as hell if you think about it that way.
Oh, I agree.
Dude, every Twizzler you eat, there was a sacrifice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
I want to know how much cow to morning cup of coffee. Put a little sugar in your morning cup of coffee.
Yeah.
If I could figure out the cow to teaspoon ratio.
Yes. How many cows had to die so I could eat the Snickers?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. If I could figure out the cow to teaspoon ratio, I feel like I will have unlocked a lot of information about the world.
We'll have to look into that. We'll have to do the math on how much sugar comes out of a refinery over 5 years and then divide it,
by cow.
By cow bone.
God. So that's wild. So, okay. So they are thinking that what happened is somebody looked at, because, we're talking about a couple hundred years ago, sugar was a little more precious than it is now. And so we're looking at somebody looked at a field of bodies and said,
cha-ching,
I'm making some Hershey Kisses.
Yeah. So here's the thing.
We're having pastries, baby. You know how the French love pastries.
Oh, they love a powdered sugar. Sprinkle a powdered sugar on everything.
Croissant?
A croissant?
A croissant? They're looking at, listen, somebody back then, this math is lost to us now. We don't have all the variables. But back then, the average person could look at a field of dead bodies and do the dead body to char to sugar to croissant ratio. And they would look at the 10,000 dead bodies and they would go, that's a million croissants.
Yes.
We are rich.
Mrs. Lacroixy, all your sons died at the horrible battle of Waterloo. The good news is They are 15 croissants.
Oh, 15 croissants. Hold on. I will make a coffee. So they eat. That's a tradition.
That's how they honor their dead.
Yeah. In America, you get the soldier's uniform folded up, and a letter from the president.
Right. Yes.
But in France, you get pastries, delicate pastries,
right,
made from the sugar that was refined from the bones of your dead relative.
The fallen. Yeah. And the flakier the croissant, the more honor your loved one gets.
That's right. And let me tell you something. Same goes for the horses.
Yeah. Well, don't get me started on where the butter comes from for the croissant. Anyway, so here's the data that supports this theory. In the 1830s,
mm-hmm.
Waterloo was all about the sugar beets. There were two massive sugar beet factories.
Okay.
Sugar factories that processed sugar beets that were grown in the area of Waterloo, just a few kilometers from the actual site of the battlefield. So two giant sugar factories.
Okay.
We need bones. Now get this. Between 1832 and 1837, the price of bones increased sevenfold. That's 5 years. So it went from 2 francs in 1833.
For how many bones? Like a pile?
For 100 kilos of bones.
All right.
2 francs for 100 kilos of bones in 1833. And by 1837, it's 14 francs for 100 kilos of bones.
Whoa.
Because there was so much demand. So much demand. And also ground up bones,
mm-hmm.
chicken bones, cattle bones, ground up bones are used as fertilizer as well. They're very effective fertilizer. So between fertilizer and sugar refinement, bones, big business.
Okay.
There's gold in them there bones.
The average human body, I just looked this up, 22.5 pounds of bones. If you're talking about somebody who weighs like 150 pounds, right? You're talking about 22.5 pounds of bones. We're talking about 10 kilograms of bones. So if you're talking about 100 kilos of bones going for 2 francs, and then all of a sudden it goes up to 14 francs.
Yeah.
We're talking about that's 14 francs for 10 people's worth of bones. And you've got 1,000 of those people laying around.
But you got 10,000. You got 1,000 of those
10,000. So you get 1,000 10 francs.
Yeah.
Sorry, I went one step ahead in my brain.
Yeah, I got
because I'm so excited about this money that we found. So bones, 100 kilos are going for 2 francs. I want to know what like the cost of living was though now, right?
Yeah.
Now what I want to know is how far 2 francs gets you in 1815.
Right.
Like is 2 francs is that like a day's worth of, is that like a day's work? Is that like a week's work? What was the average salary?
Yeah. If we're talking, but the theory here is that rather than pay that money, which, probably any 7-fold increase over 5 years is going to sting if you're trying to make sugar, right? So
sure. Talk to me right now about gas and eggs.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So the idea here is that a bunch of poor farmers looked out on the horror that was Waterloo and went, you know where I can get some bones real cheap, real easy, just laying there as far as the eye can see. Boom, boom, baby.
Huh.
So they just went out, took the bones, sold them to the sugar factory. Probably kept the hats and jackets.
Yeah, sure. So we're looking at, it looks like cocher, conducteur de omnibus. Okay, so we're looking at the average like worker was getting 5 francs 75 per 16 hours of work. Okay.
Wow. 16 hours? Jesus.
16 hours of work. Remember
that's a day.
Remember there were no labor laws.
Right.
You're working until you sleep, and that's because God wants you to. Now,
Sure.
So 16 hours a day to make under 6 francs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
and by 1837, 14 francs is what it costs for 100 kilos of dead people.
Yeah. Now this is also, and this is also the earliest data here says that it's from like 1850 or 1860. So we're even a little farther along. So there might have been some inflation from there. So we're talking about somebody's making about like, anywhere from like 4 to 6 francs a day. But you could sell those bones, dude.
Sell them bones. All you got to do is walk out in the field. There's bones as far as you can see.
Dude, you put a bunch of those people and horses into a cart, right? Cut yourself some horse meat if you want on the way back.
Just for the road.
Just for the road. Save yourself those coats and hats and whatnot. And then just listen, if you're throwing one body on a pyre, you can throw 50 bodies on a pyre.
Exactly.
That's
called entrepreneurism.
That's right. That's working smarter, not harder. If you're going to burn one body for money, you can burn 50 bodies for money.
So this extends even farther than just the battlefield of Waterloo. This is the impetus for this investigation was, what happened to the bodies of Waterloo? But this book found evidence that this was happening all over the place. In fact, there was a Parisian official, a local official in Paris, who actually made a formal suggestion that the catacombs, remember I said there's going to be catacombs in this story. Here it comes.
I've been to those catacombs.
The catacombs under Paris should be emptied and all the bones sent to the sugar factories. Because they're like, they're just sitting here. And you know what I would love is a puff pastry. I'd love a croissant. Anybody have a hankering for a croissant?
A petit four? A financier?
Little chocolate fingers? Some chocolate fingers?
Please.
Some phalanges?
Yeah. That's the French word, phalange. So sugar was a big deal. They could not get enough of this stuff, huh?
Yeah. So, and there were, it gets even crazier, dude. The French.
Why didn't they use corn syrup?
Well, I don't think they'd figured that out.
You could just use corn syrup. You put corn syrup in everything.
I mean, that's the American way.
You don't even need sugar, dude. You just make it out of corn. What do you need? Corn it is what we say.
You're not going to believe how many people die because of corn syrup.
Here in America, we just say corn it.
Corn it.
What are you? Yeah. I'm out of this. Corn it. You can probably make it out of corn.
Subsidize that shit and out of corn.
Why don't we subsidize something else so we can have more of the other thing? Nah, dude, corn it, dude.
Check this out. The French also, they ran out of bones in Europe. They were pilfering bones from Scotland and England from medieval cemeteries.
I love it.
They emptied out these cemeteries all over Europe. And at a certain point, they ran out of accessible bones in Europe, and they started digging up cemeteries in Algeria and shipping bones to sugar factories in Marseille.
Well, okay. So this is interesting to me because it just popped a thing into my head. The idea of the image of the grave robber.
Yeah.
Right? There's always a grave robber.
Indiana Jones, baby.
Yeah. If there's a spooky story, there's a grave robber. And we have this idea that there were grave robbers everywhere. And I've always been like, people aren't really, they're buried in nice clothes, but they aren't really buried with much. What are all these?
Sometimes jewelry,
Yeah, sometimes jewelry and stuff, but like, it's not tons, right? Most of the nice jewelry and everything gets willed to your relatives. You don't get buried in the nicest stuff, right? You pass that on. So like, it's mostly about looking nice at the funeral. It's not about actually having like the nicest stuff. So like, what were the grave robbers all doing? That's what I've always wondered. I was like, it doesn't seem like it's worth the amount of work. Because if you spend an entire night digging up graves and one person's wearing a nice necklace or one person wanted to be buried with their pocket watch, you're fucked. But it turns out they're just selling the bones, dude.
Selling the bones. The bones are where the real money is.
Holy
bones
shit.
To the sugar factory. So this is, they said, bones from Egyptian mummies, from, all of this stuff was imported on an industrial scale to just feed the sugar factories all the bones they needed.
Take that, British Museum. We came up with something even more fucked. You stole the bones and put them on display. We literally turned them into puff pastries. We turned them into croquembouche.
We're eating that shit.
We're eating Ramses. He's a croquembouche now, idiot.
It's liquid chocolat.
Is croquembouche what I'm thinking about, where it's just the big pile, like the pyramid of fucking cream puffs? You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
You've never seen? Oh my God, Jeff. This is
croquembouche. I'm Googling it. Oh, it is. Oh yeah, it's like it is the pile of puff balls.
It's just a pile of puff pastries, and then they drizzle chocolate on it and they throw it down on a table, and they're like, why don't we all eat 150 pastries together?
Yeah, French dessert consisting of pastry puffs piled into a cone and bound with threads of caramel.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to order me one of these.
Dude, that's what I'm saying.
Dude, this shit?
Dude, you're going to love this. This tells me that you have not watched enough Great British Bake Off, because
that's fair.
Somebody makes a croquembouche like once every season.
Really?
Yeah, you dude. I'm telling you, every time they do it, they can make the fanciest thing they want to make, but anytime they make a croquembouche, I just look at it because there's just something about the gluttony of a croquembouche where they just go, here's 150 of something. We've drizzled caramel on it. Go ahead, dude. Finish 150 of something. We'll do it together.
So good. I'm into it.
I love it. And think like that. Some
Grubhub
of that
have that. Can I Grubhub that for later?
Probably. And if you were in the 1800s, some of that could have been filtered through the bones of a very famous monarch of Egypt.
That's right. That's right.
Which makes it even more delicious because it's just like, what a delicacy. What a treat.
Yeah.
It's like our boy a couple weeks ago who just ate human hearts from King's.
Yeah. Gotta love it. You gotta love, I gotta eat today. You know, hey, listen, I'm all about preserving the past.
Yeah.
I want to honor the past, but today, homie, gotta eat.
Today,
you know what I'm saying?
Today at 11 is brunch.
And I would love a croquembouche.
Like the future is definitely coming. Like it's out there and we want to leave some sort of legacy for it. But also, what's that little mini meal that comes before breakfast and lunch, comes like between it? What's that little mini meal that I'm thinking of? Is that brunch?
It sounds like brunch.
Am I thinking of brunch?
You are.
Well, pile up the bones of the royals, my friend.
In the 19th century, they're like, but like, have you had sugar?
Yeah, dude, right? I imagine it's like there's one of my favorite books from when I was a kid was the autobiography of Henry VIII.
Yeah.
Written by, it's Margaret, I forget what her name is, but it was a great book. It's not the autobiography of Henry VIII. It's fictionalized. But I remember there was a discussion where like people come to court and bring gifts for one of Henry's weddings, and somebody brings like sorbet. And the idea that somebody traveled with sorbet and it had to be it had to be packed in ice, and they had to make ice. They had to figure out how to get ice and traveled with this sorbet to England to present a sorbet to the king.
Baller move.
Dude.
I bet his mind was friggin' blown.
His mind was insanely blown. He spends like 2 paragraphs talking about the sorbet because why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I think about that whenever I think about like
eating sorbet.
Eating anything. Whenever I think about like literally anything that's delicious or comfortable.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I just think about like I go get ice cream and in front of me they have 20 flavors of ice cream. And they're just like, which one would you like? And if you'd like more than one, we will mix it and you will walk out of here with ice cream today.
Sure.
And like, it'll be like $5.
Yeah.
And you're just like, holy shit, man. Somebody had to travel for thousands of miles to the king to give him sorbet at some point.
Right.
Like, that's what I think about when I think about this. It's just like, no, we need sugar.
Yeah.
There aren't enough,
I feel like
there aren't enough bones, dude. We need more
That's the
bones.
thing. At some point, somebody's like, hey, man, have you tried sugar? And it's like, oh, yeah, well, of course, I've eaten an apple and an orange. Oh, an orange, just real sweet orange, so delightful. And it's like, no, bro. Have you tried sugar?
No, we can refine it.
Yeah, look, here's this little packet. Put some on your tongue. And they put that on their tongue and they went, we need some fucking bones.
Yeah.
Let's get some
like,
bones.
Listen, I've created this, but the problem is it needs to be filtered through the bones of the dead. Yeah, sure. The bones of the dead, whatever.
Yeah. How many bones do you need?
Yeah.
We got a whole catacomb. Just take it.
Holy fuck, dude. This shit's great. Oh my God.
That's right.
We got to stop fucking around with honey and molasses. That shit's stupid as hell.
This is the good shit. So there is
Why
this
were they
period
so short on bones, dude? I feel like everybody was dying all the time.
I agree. But I mean, you see how many cow bones it takes and you have to do it every 5 years. That's a lot of bones.
That is a lot of bones. And that's modern refineries. I'm sure they weren't even as good at it back then.
Yeah, probably less efficient.
Dude, do you think it was like 2 cows for like every 10 chocolate bars or something? Do you think it was something ridiculous back then?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
It was like every time somebody wanted like one cream puff, let alone a croquembouche, you had to like murder a family.
Yeah. It's like, we're going to really need to start a war.
Yeah.
Why? I got a hankering for a croquembouche.
Yeah, freedom or land or God. I don't know. Whatever we have to do, it's fine. I just
tell them anything they need. I just need their bones.
Yeah, I had coffee this morning and I put a little bit of sugar in it. And now I can't imagine anything else.
So in the late 18th and early 19th centuries, there's just a gap in the historical record of remains. There's like a massive hole, and that hole
18th and 19th centuries or 18 and 1900s?
18th and 19th 18th century, so that
okay, gotcha.
19,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So is late 1700s, early 1800s.
Gotcha.
So like a cavity caused by sugar, there's a hole. There's a hole in the record, in the remnants of people.
Do you think like when there's somebody old or sick in your family, you're in France in like in the early 1800s, there's somebody old or sick in your family and you just look at them and like a Bugs Bunny cartoon, they turn into a croissant right in front of you.
Yeah.
They just turn into a crepe. You just see that you're just like,
that sounds so good.
You're just like, oh man.
Yeah.
One day he'll be dead and I'll put sugar in my coffee.
Just a lollipop standing in front of you. So they say they have uncovered, they focused on Europe for this because it started as this investigation of Waterloo, and they kind of investigated all of the French and sort of European practices of this. But they said they've also encountered some newspaper accounts of bone collecting in the United States for the same purpose.
Whoa.
And they think that some happened in the Civil War, on Civil War battlefields.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Now that I know, I'm just like, yeah, of course. Take the boots, take the hats, take the coats, render the bones. Burn their flesh, melt them down.
There's even evidence of it happening after World War I. So as late as the 1920s, there was a
dude. Are you kidding me? Of course, the Great War. Are you fucking kidding me? The World War? Are you fucking kidding me? People were rationing shit, dude. People were waiting in lines for rations. Are you telling me that when someone died during the goddamn Great War, if you didn't know who they were, right? That's a dead stranger right there. That's nobody I care about. That man is my morning coffee.
Sweeten it up.
Sweeten it up, dude.
Yeah. That's what they called it, the sweet war, the sweetest of wars.
So I'm honestly, I got to imagine that sugar refineries and like these sugar refinery operations were pretty fucking shady.
Oh, but wasn't everything shady?
Yeah, but like,
I mean, this is like, you think of,
but this is Sweeney
Oliver
Todd.
Twist
This
and
is
shit.
Sweeney Todd's shady, dude. This is like, I would imagine that there are people like they're bringing bodies to the sugar refinery, and the sugar refinery is asking no questions, right? The sugar refinery, like you bring like a dead body, like you murder a dude.
Yeah.
What's the easiest way to get rid of the evidence? Simply sugar them up, and you get paid for it.
It's so cool.
It's
so crazy.
It's the 1800s France version of murdering someone with an icicle.
There's
no.
It's the perfect crime.
It's the perfect crime. There's no evidence, dude. You simply bring their body to the sugar refinery to the back door.
That's right.
Some weird Peter Lorre looking dude.
We got to write this movie, Anthony. This is the movie.
This is the movie. Some weird Peter Lorre looking dude comes out. He's like rubbing his hands. He comes out of the back door and he's like, what have you brought for me? Oh, sweet sugar. I can give you 4 francs for his body. Oh,
yes.
Bring him in here. No, I don't go inside, dude. I don't go inside. You gotta carry him in yourself. I don't want to see what you got going on in there. Oh, but there's so much sweet things happening in here. Don't you want to see the pastries?
There's just
they are made.
There's like a giant metal hole that he throws the body into, turns a crank, and then a donut pops out the other side.
100%. It's like when they're walking. It's like in Rise of Skywalker when they're walking through the Sith planet, and there's just tubes of Palpatines everywhere. There's just like tubes of half Palpatines floating around. It's just like, and he will be a chocolate bar, and he will be
delicious nougat.
He will be a creme brulee.
Yeah.
That's some shady shit, dude.
Shady shit. And in fact, there is multiple instances in France of laws being passed in the 1920s to protect battlefields. Like, hey, we got to stop this at some point. There's too many weirdos in the back door, taking in battlefield corpses. So they literally protected the battlefield. So you can't steal the bodies from battlefields.
Hey,
but this
I've always wondered,
1920s.
I've always wondered about this. So here's what I wonder in a situation like this, right? That's a great law. A wonderful law. Very respectful.
Yeah.
If all of your able-bodied fighters with all of your weapons died on the battlefield, who is protecting your battlefield from being robbed? It's a great law.
Sure.
It's a wonderful lip service to respect the dead. But if Waterloo happens and I walk up the next day and I start dragging bodies away, literally who is left to stop me?
That's a good point.
Who's coming by? Some like one guy with a club? Fuck you. The one guy who's left, the fucking gendarme, the one guy in the fucking town. He's not even from Waterloo. He's got to ride his horse to Waterloo to protect the dead bodies of the entire field. One guy, Pierre. Fuck you, Pierre.
Fuck you, Pierre. I'm on a sugar high right now. I'm going to steal this body whether you like it or not.
Pierre, I just had espresso with 2 spoonfuls of sugar in it for the first time. Fight me. We'll see whose club is bigger. Fight me, sir.
So it's a pretty compelling case. They say that there's even archaeological evidence of, when you dig up a grave and then pat it back down, the soil is different color.
Yeah.
Obviously that's
some Batman shit, man. I love what they can do.
It's wild that the mystery of the missing bodies at Waterloo is we needed them for the sugar factories.
Dude. So
that's crazy.
So 10,000 troops. Now, here's what we can say. Potentially that was exaggerated. Maybe. Who knows? I'm sure there are records, I'm sure whatever, but I'm sure there are also not a lot of records based on what you were saying, because people were just disappearing and shit. But you're telling me 9,998 bodies and their horses.
Yes.
Like, let's really break this down, because you're like, oh yeah, they all disappeared because of sugar. 9,998 soldiers on Napoleon's side alone, and their horses, and their personal effects.
Yeah.
And their equipment. Gone. We found the remains of 2. And it's all because of the sugar factory?
Well, I want to know about those too. I mean, it's like, Jean-Luc you don't want to taste him.
No.
Leave him be. Believe me, I know him. I knew Jean-Luc.
His heart is black.
You do not want him in your sugar. You know what I'm saying?
We spit on Jean-Luc. What do you got to do to be the 2 guys in France that are so shitty people don't even want to turn you into sugar? What do you got to do where people look at you and they go, not even worth the fucking sugar? You know, and remember, we don't have any sugar.
All right, 2 piles, sugar, and fuck you, no sugar. All right, I got 9,998 guys in 1 pile.
Oh,
and then these 2 guys.
The fucking Dufresne brothers. I went to school with these assholes. No sugar from them.
No. Croissant pile, and don't want pile. Croissant, don't want.
Holy shit, man. We are a species of ghouls, and I love us so much in so many ways.
It is wild. On
a level, Jeff, can I be real with you?
Yeah.
As people who are not particularly spiritual, as somebody who's not particularly, I don't care. Like, well, I've told you, you have to take care of my dead body. And what I want done with my dead body is I want to be dropped into a shark tank at an aquarium during a school visit day.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you have to make sure that happens. But other than that, I don't really care. To me, it's like, hey, man, if you needed the sugar, get the sugar. Like, I also think your war was pointless, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I think your war was pointless, but if people are dead and we need the sugar and there's only one way to get sugar, feels more useful to me than like just burying them and crying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At least this way we get a croquembouche out of it.
It's true.
If you want to turn me into a croquembouche after I die, if you need me to filter, I would imagine by the time I die, you'd need human beings to filter the water supply for drinking.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you need, you're hearing it right here, concerned citizens. If I die, when I die, but let me
filter your sugar.
Yeah. Let me clean your water. If you can get a cup of clean water out of me before you have to hide from the sand nomads.
Yeah.
Please do.
I love it. Hey, I'm into that. And hopefully we're not there. I got to say, I prefer to be the sugar guy. You know, I mean, water, great. But if you can remember me while you're, sucking on a Starburst, I'm into it. You know what I mean? If you can,
it's adorable that you think there's any real sugar in a Starburst.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. I guess the harder task is finding something that actually has real sugar in it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Bottle me in a Mexican Coke.
That's right.
Hey, thank you so much to Old Cahoots for sending in this story. If you've seen a story that you think is interesting recently, you could join our Discord and send it to us there. You can also email it to wehaveconcernshow@gmail.com. But I'm telling you, that Discord's the place to be.
It really is. It's a fun place over and above all the great science stories. There's awesome science stories, many more that we don't choose every week. Many more to read, to fall down a rabbit hole of interesting stuff being posted by awesome patrons the whole time. And all it takes for you to have access to that amazing Discord is $1 single every month as a patron at patreon.com/wehaveconcerns.
That's right. It's the only way we fund the show. So you would be helping us out there. And as you give a little more, you get a little more, including bonus episodes, audio clips, Q&As, and videos. Check it out at patreon.com/wehaveconcerns.